Hey everyone, welcome to another video of Games Midlife. I think everything around us is giving us the impression that time is running out and you have to juggle multiple games at a time and you have to constantly rush towards the end goal for all of your games. We sometimes forget that we need to take a step back and enjoy the games that we have completed, that we have finished, and there's so much more that you can reap out of these games. And these are some of the things that I do sometimes to gain a little bit more enjoyment out of the games that I complete even after you're done with the main storyline and the main narrative thread. Sometimes games can have such an everlasting impact on you that you get connected with the characters and the world and also the storytelling. RPGs are kind of like the prime example of these rich, detailed worlds and universes that you can interact with. And I often like to explore a little bit more out of the game once I'm done with the main storyline. I'll often go on YouTube and search these lore videos, especially the origin and the history of the creative world building that designers often undergo when they're making these massive RPGs. The last one that I remember that I was super fond of was Skyrim. I started searching for these mythologies and cultural influences on the lore, and being from a Hindu culture, I also started finding references and connections between the deities and monsters and all these characters. It was a very fascinating journey, and I would advise you to do the same for any big narrative heavy game that you've last played. Try and find out a little bit more about the lore, the references, the background, the world building. That's my first suggestion. Go on YouTube, find out lore videos and breakdown videos of the origin stories of many of these games. The second would be video game documentaries and docu-series. I often gain a lot of enjoyment by looking into the creative process of building a game and what goes behind the scenes of many of your popular fan favorite games characters. Getting a behind the scenes look at how your favorite characters or story moments are created in video games, it's really fascinating. I have a recommendation for the No Clip series, which is a crowd-funded Kickstarter driven project which is available on YouTube, and these guys do such a phenomenal job, like going on site with many studios and finding out what really led to the development of some of the really iconic games. The last one that I remember seeing was Microsoft Flight Simulator, and it was such a interesting breakdown of what technology and engineering goes into sort of building this massive one-to-one replica of the real world for a simulator game. There's also some commercial docu-series that are available on streaming platforms. On Netflix, the Netflix original called High Score, that also chronicles some of your popular 80s video game icons. So definitely give that a shot. Some of these documentaries explore the effort and the emotional and mental struggle that goes into building such massive games and IPs. Another recommendation that I have is the one on God of War 2018. It's called Raising Kratos. It's just, again, such a insightful look at the creative process of building God of War, a remake and a reboot. My second suggestion would be just explore some documentaries, or behind the scenes look at some of your favorite games. If you're someone who enjoys the development process of characters and, the art that goes into building some of your favorite game icons, I would suggest look up some concept art books and supplementary materials for some of your favorite video games. Like the last I remember reading and getting completely hooked on was the one on Zelda's 25th anniversary. It's called Hyrule Historia. It's like a historical chronology of how the art form for the Zelda games got evolved over the course of time, going from 8-bit to 16-bit to full color and 3D evolution process that you can get a look at. And sometimes these glimpses can help you appreciate the scale and scope of many of these games that seem like on face value pretty simple games, but once you get a peek behind the curtains, it's a totally different ball game. And I love getting into that because I appreciate development and game design, but I would love to invest time and get to know a little bit more about the artistic journey of many of these favorite games. Look up some used bookstores, thrift shops, and find out some secondhand concept art books. All the Sony first party IPs have amazing art book collections that are sold separate from their collector editions of their games. It doesn't have to be creative books, but it could also be non-fiction books. The last non-fiction book that I really enjoyed was Blood, Sweat, and Pixels by Jason Schreier. It shows you the behind-the-scenes look at the development of AAA games, and I was fascinated by reading the bit on Destiny and how Bungie had to shift gears from the Halo franchise to a completely new IP. So yeah, fascinating stuff. That's my third recommendation. Now coming to the fourth recommendation, that would be to explore breakdowns of game mechanics for small or big games, indie or AAA. What I usually do is, if there's something that really piques my interest in terms of the way a certain element has been made in a game, I tend to also find out some material, these online essays, video essays that people have done on the various mechanics and nuances of certain games. There are a few YouTubers that I'll recommend, and I'll link them. I'll link everything down in the description box, especially these YouTubers who do mechanical breakdown of some game designs. The last one that I really remember seeing was how Division recreated New York, post-pandemic version of New York, which was interesting because it's so relevant right now. It almost feels like, what if this could be the reality with the current climate in the world. Now, I have become a little bit jaded with the regular social media content around games these days. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, it doesn't appeal to me anymore because it's just all hype content which is supposed to die down in terms of relevance in a day or two. So it doesn't get my creative juices flowing. I rather go to these small subreddits, small communities of passionate video game enthusiasts who love discussing in a civilized and organized manner. Of course, there are some exceptions. Some days it doesn't turn out to be that way. I have some recommendations for subreddits. Our Games, Our True Gaming, or Our Patient Gamer are few subreddits that really resonate with me, and the discussions there are much more thoughtful, insightful. It's not just meme content. There's strictly no meme policy there. I would suggest visit some of these subreddits, maybe do a quick search for some of your favorite games on these subreddits and see what the community's reaction was. Finally, the last point is, it might not be relevant to you, but sometimes I like going back in time and watching some of the launch and reveal PR material for some of my favorite games, so that I get to know what the community's reaction was when the game first got released. And this is something that interests me because I like seeing how games and their perception evolve over time. Sometimes what you see initially might be a reaction from people who were expecting something else but got delivered something else as a product. But over time, because I'm a patient gamer, I come back to franchises or like experience a game, let's say 4 or 5 years after it was released. So I like going back in time with the help of YouTube, of course, and internet. You can just look at what the reaction was when it launched and how game producers, creative designers are often pitching their games. So yeah, these are mostly all the things that I wanted to talk about. Kind of strange, I know, but this one is a short video. I wanted to just highlight a few of the things that I do to enjoy my games post completing them. Maybe there's something in it for you. Thank you for watching all the way till the end. If there's anything that you liked here, please comment below. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.